Yeah, so this is something
Saturday
that's like
morning
you
at
actually
9
want to
o'clock.
leaf through a little bit.
Put the
Rumble Street.
I had to slam the brakes on with my mother-in-law in the car.
Good evening and welcome to the May 3rd, 2013 meeting of the Lake Forest City Council. Could I ask the clerk to call the roll, please?
Certainly. Honorable Mayor Schoenheider,
Here.
Alderman Novit,
Here.
Alderman Waldeck. Here. Alderman Moore,
Here.
Alderman Pandaleon,
Here.
Alderman Tack,
Here.
Alderman Reisenberg,
Here.
Alderman Palmer,
Here.
Alderman Adelman.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have an acting quorum.
Thank you, Betty, very much. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item on the agenda this evening is comments by the mayor. And the first item under that listing is something we're excited to do. I asked Deputy Clerk Margaret Boyer to come and administer the oath of office to Second Ward Alderman-Elect George Pandaleon.
You could raise your right hand. I state your name,
I, George Pandaleon,
having been elected to the office of Alderman
having been elected to the office of Alderman
in the city of Lake Forest,
in the city of Lake Forest,
in the county of Lake,
in the county of Lake,
in the state of Illinois,
in the state of Illinois,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that you will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois.
and I will discharge the duties of said office
I will discharge the duties of said office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alderman Pandaleon, congratulations. Thank you for your continued service. We look forward to working with you for another 2 years.
Thank you. I love the fact that I got every vote.
That you know of, right? Next on the agenda, we have a board reappointment, Lake Forest Police Pension Fund Board. Tom Ford is being reappointed from Ward 2 for another term. I need a motion to approve that appointment, please.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that's approved. We have one other item on the listed agenda this evening, but I did want to make one other comment under my section, which was remind everyone about the Fred Jackson golf outing on Friday. That will be held at Deerpath. I believe the starting time, tee time is 1 o'clock. And I think there's slots still open. Thank you, Karina. And it obviously is a terrific event, benefits programs of the Park and Rec Department and Foundation. And I would encourage anyone who's interested, good golfer or not, to please come out and join us. It's a great event, a really fun afternoon, and it's a great, certainly a great group to be involved in. Next item on comments by mayor, announcement of this year's Lake Forest Preservation Awards. And tonight, Steve Douglas, the Preservation Board member, will present those awards. Steve, good evening.
I'm Steve Douglas, representing the Lake Forest Preservation Foundation, and I'm joined here tonight by Marcy Kerr, our Executive Director. Thanks for inviting us for this presentation. This year we gave 8 rehabilitation awards, a preservation award, and a restoration award. Rehabilitation acknowledges the need to alter or add to an historic property to meet continuing or changing uses while retaining the property's historic character. 530 Crabtree Lane was designed by Boyd Hill in 1934. An original porch was enlarged in 1949, and a large sunroom was constructed over the porch in 1979. The large-scale postmodern ornamentation and extensive glazing of the sunroom detracted from the Georgian revival character of the original house and the formal courtyard to the rear. Owners Sarah and James Tenbrook worked with Northworks to replace the unsympathetic additions with a new two-story wing mirroring the original east wing in materials and fenestration, and reestablishing the axial formality of the main house and gardens. 430 Washington Road had major functional issues when purchased by Kimberly and Jim Karras. Designed by J.H. Root in 1925, the house was one of 6 homes built for summer rental and facing a main farmhouse at the center of a 5-acre parcel. The front door actually faced north on the opposite side of this picture, on the other side of the house and up one level from the driveway. With architect Harold Lutz and Associates, the Karrases added a covered porch across the main facade to break up the scale of the original 3-story elevation, and created a new entry hall and stair between the original house and an addition. Here you can see the second story of the addition and the original front door of the house facing into the backyard, right here. At 806 South Green Bay Road, architect Edward Humrick created a 1-bedroom home in 1950. Humrick once said, "I think a house, any building, should go with the land, not violate the land. A house should be like an outcropping of the land, a rock formation, to belong to the site. I think you can see how this house accomplishes that." His trademark details included post and beam construction, passive solar siding, radiant heat and stained concrete floors, horizontal siding, and large operable glass doors to let the outdoors in. Ada and Gordon Boras needed more space and worked with architect Summit Design to renovate and add to the home in the Humrick vernacular. 349 Kingmuir Road was designed by Stanley Anderson in 1927. Several later additions appeared disconnected from the original architecture, including this glass and metal structure at the rear. Owners Molly and Brian Sarver worked with Melikar Architects to remove incompatible elements, add new windows and dormers, and rework the interior plan and the additions, creating a unified architectural language. The historical integrity and character of the original structure has been maintained while providing a more elegant and functional floor plan than had resulted from prior additions. 1435 Lake Road was designed by an associate of David Adler's, Ambrose Kramer Jr., to be the coach house to Adler's Richard Bentley estate, both designed in Adler's Dutch South African style. Renovated into a home in 1950 by Stanley Anderson, the structure has again been rehabilitated by owners Sissy and Willard Bunn with Rugo Raff Architects. An unsympathetic post-Anderson addition was removed and replaced, and the plan was remade to be more functional for the owners. Original details were painstakingly copied so that the new now blends seamlessly with the old. 797 North Sheridan Road is really 2 separate buildings combined into one. And I think the collision occurred right about here. The Barnum House was built for Samuel Ezra Barnum in 1867. The Wright Store was built in 1859 at the northeast corner of Deerpath and Western, and was later moved and combined with the house in the 1880s. Owners Amy and Luke Lincoln worked with Door 13 architecture to restore various interior and exterior elements of both structures, including reconstructing the front porch to its original open design. 211 Maple Court was designed by Boston architects Shepley, Rutan, and Coolidge as the coach house to the Rumsey estate across the ravine on Illinois Road. In 1973, an incompatible 2-story addition was constructed. Owners Ann and Steve Skinner worked with Ruger Raff Architects to demolish the addition and replace it with a new 2-story addition compatible in design and materials to the original structure. Here you can see the exquisite attention to detail that unites the new work with the original design. 215 North Sheridan Road was designed by Jerome R. Cerny in 1927 for Carter H. Harrison V, who had served multiple terms as mayor of Chicago. Owners Jane and Mark Nauer worked with Ruggles Architecture to completely renovate the home, add a new 3-car garage, and a wonderful garden terrace and garden wall at the rear. This year, we also gave one preservation award. Preservation focuses on the maintenance and repair of existing historic materials and the retention of a property's form as it has evolved over time. 461 North Green Bay Road was designed by David Adler in 1913 for Mr. and Mrs. William E. Clow, Jr. The house is virtually unchanged and is in excellent condition, thanks in large part to the preservation efforts of owners Barbara and Raymond Buck. This is a great example of preservation at its finest. It's all original, right down to the green wood shutters, the wood windows, and the yellow stucco. Even the hedges are laid out in their original design. The house is very urban in its design in response to the fairly constrained site. And as we pass through this door from the front to the rear, we could easily be in an urban garden somewhere in Europe. This year we also gave one restoration award. Restoration is undertaken to accurately depict the form, features, and character of a property as it appeared at a particular time in history by means of the removal of features from other periods in its history and reconstruction of missing features from the restoration period. 776 and 778 North Green Bay Road are Howard Van Doren Shaw's gatehouses to his Walter Brewster estate of 1910. The house was sited by the Olmsted organization to the west of an existing pond here, and the gatehouses were sited to the east on Green Bay Road here. Approaching from Green Bay Road, you see the garage to the right and the gardener's cottage to the left, and you're drawn by the strong main axis through the formal entry sequence between the two structures to the main estate, which you can see in the distance. In 1953, the gatehouses were subdivided into two separate properties. In the 60s, the garage was converted into a residence with 2 of the 4 garage openings bricked up. Significant changes were also made to the gardener's cottage, including a 2-story garage addition to the south, a new entry vestibule protruding into the motor court, destroying its original symmetry, and removal of all the original glass, all the original windows, and replacement with large, undivided expanses of thermopane glass. Current owners Missy and John Dursey, working with architect Virgil McDowell, have reunited the two properties and restored much of Shaw's original design, while also modifying later additions to make them more sympathetic to the original architecture. For example, they removed the garage from the gardener's cottage, converting it to living space and integrating this 60s addition into the original structure. They removed and replaced all the brick from that 2-story addition to the cottage in order that the brick would match the original brick in both size and texture, and they added the limestone coursing to match Shaw's design. They removed all the modern thermopane picture windows and restored window openings to their original proportions with new custom single-glazed, true divided light wood windows and wood storm windows. They removed the entry vestibule that had been added to the motor court and restored the gardener's cottage facade. The roofs were also all restored with recycled slate shingles, and the asphalt in the motor court was removed and replaced with gravel pavement as Shaw would have used. They restored the only remaining original Shaw door and used it as the main entry to the home. And using Shaw's original architectural drawings as a guide, they removed the 60s brick infill at 2 of the garage doors, restored the openings to their original configuration, and installed custom-made garage doors at all 4 openings following Shaw's design. Look at Shaw's detail for the diagonal boards and the prominent sill under the windows. And now look at the results of the restoration. Today, our community is exemplary on the North Shore and in the Chicago metropolitan region for the attention it pays to historic properties and landscapes, its open space, and its new construction. This status is made possible by the foundation, the city, especially the Historic Preservation Commission and this city council, our members and other citizens working together to help ensure that Lake Forest remains true to its historic roots as one of the nation's earliest planned communities and one of its most distinctive communities today. Thank you for supporting the Lake Forest Preservation Foundation.
Steve, thank you very much. You know, on behalf of all of us on the council, I want to thank the Preservation Foundation for the great work you do, for keeping our community such a special place. And I'm can't help but take a look at some of these award winners, and I know Kathy remembers not many years ago we saw the Humrick on Green Bay Road up for, and Megan was there as well, up for demolition on the BRB. And the BRB decided not to allow the demolition, and now the house has been redone and it's spectacular. So again, just a great vote for thoughtful preservation in our community. So thank you again very much. Next item on the agenda, comments by city manager. Bob?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no comments this evening.
Okay. Item on the agenda follow-up is comments by city council members. Alderman Moore?
No updates from Croy this time.
Okay. Anyone else? Moving
Yes,
right along.
maybe we should mention the second ward meeting on Thursday night at Cherokee School at 7 o'clock. So everybody from Ward 2, if you'd like to have a shot at Alderman Moore and myself, be there Thursday night and we'll be available for pummeling.
And you'll be there.
Yep.
Great. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, opportunity for citizens to address the council on non-agenda items. Anyone care to address the council on a non-agenda item this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 5 on the agenda this evening is items for omnibus vote consideration. I'm going to read all 5 of them. If any member of the council would like to take any of them off and discuss them individually, we can do that. If not, we'll take all of them together as a vote, individual or together. Item number 1, approval of the May 20, 2013 regular city council minutes. Item number 2, approval of the May check register. Item number 3, consideration of an ordinance approving a fee schedule for the city of Lake Forest. First reading and if desired by the city council, final approval. Item number 4, approval of a 10% matching funds for the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, American Firefighter Grant award package for a new cardiac monitor defibrillator for our ambulances in FY 2014. And number 5, consideration of a resolution accepting improvements in the Amberley Woods development located south of Route 60 and west of Conway Farms Drive. Approval of a resolution. Any council member care to take any of those items individually? If not, I will ask for a motion to approve those items together.
And I move to approve the omnibus items as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I need a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Waldeck.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
Aye.
Alderman Pandaleon.
Aye.
Alderman Tack.
Aye.
Alderman Reisenberg.
Aye.
Alderman Palmer.
Aye.
Alderman Adelman.
Aye.
8 yea, 0 nay. Motion carries.
Thank you very much, Biddy. Next item on the agenda this evening is ordinances. The first item is the consideration of a recommendation from the Plan Commission to accept the City of Lake Forest Bicycle Master Plan and to approve a related amendment to the City of Lake Forest Comprehensive Plan, approving a motion to waive first reading and, if desired by the council, grant final approval. And Megan Newman, who's the planner, will make a presentation as she did at our Committee of the Whole. Megan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. In the interest of time, I'd just like to give a quick overview of the main ideas and concepts that are included in the Bicycle Master Plan. Earlier this evening, the council discussed the proposed plan at the Committee of the Whole meeting. At that meeting, you guys identified the importance of connectivity, safety, education, and I'd just like to reiterate that the intent of the plan is really to be thoughtful in the bicycle connections, and as future improvements are brought forward, to incorporate the main goals of the plans into those roadway improvements. The Plan Commission considered the Bicycle Master Plan at the January 24th meeting. At that time, the Plan Commission unanimously recommended approval of the project to the City Council. the Plan Commission discussed several aspects of the public planning process and the public input on destinations and connections. They identified key observations that guided the various components of the plan. They looked at the existing conditions in Lake Forest that established the backbone of the bicycle network, such as the off-road trails at the McClory and Skokie Valley, and also recognized the importance of the roadway as part of that network. The plan itself identifies core routes and connections, as well as opportunities for future creativity and improvement. Keep in mind that the Bicycle Master Plan allows us to think broadly and plan for bicycle improvements within the city limits. The plan will help provide connections regionally as well. This document is a planning tool to support and guide future implementation decisions and assure that capital improvement projects consider bicycles moving forward. The council did identify concerns at the city or committee of the whole meeting earlier this evening with respect for the large bike groups that are present in the community and expressed an interest in furthering that discussion. We will work with the chief of police and the city manager to put together some more information and bring that back to the council at a later date. With that, there are two recommended motions before the council this evening. The first is to accept the Bicycle Master Plan by motion, and the second is to waive first reading if determined appropriate by the City Council this evening and grant final approval of the ordinance to update the City of Lake Forest Comprehensive Plan. I do believe the city attorney has some technical comments with respect to the ordinance that was in your packet. I'll let him comment on that, but I am happy to answer any questions, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My comments were relatively modest in that they are identifying our home rule authority as part of the bases for approval. We also are incorporating as part of the ordinance not just the comprehensive plan language changes, but the plan itself, the bicycle plan itself. And then lastly, there's a statutory requirement for recording a notice upon the filing or the approval of the plan, and we just make note of that in the effective date provision. So with those three changes, I would recommend council's consideration of the ordinance.
Thank you, Vic. I know we had a very robust conversation at Committee of the Whole about this. Any other additional comments or input from any member of the council? Alderman Adelman?
Yeah, I want to fully endorse it. I think it's a major step in the right direction. Naturally, it can be tweaked and refined in the future. I'd also like to reiterate and underscore Alderman Moore's comments. There are existing north-south routes that it'd be great to connect to. Where we're weak is in east-west connectivity, so I'd like to emphasize that. And also, the 4th Ward, west of Waukegan, and portions of the 3rd Ward, in particular, don't have as good access as the first and second wards have great access to McCrory. 4th Ward in particular is challenged. So I would just want to mention that to keep it in mind. But I think by adopting a comprehensive bike plan, we'll create a heightened awareness or sensitivity amongst our city planners and staff for any future improvements and developments that we undertake.
Any other comments from council? Any other comments from the public on this matter? All right, seeing none, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve to accept the City of Lake Forest Bicycle Master Plan.
Move to approve both the master plan by motion and to waive first reading and grant final approval, with the comments included that Vic made.
Second.
Biddy, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Novit.
Aye.
Alderman Waldeck.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
Aye.
Alderman Pandaleon.
Aye.
Alderman Tack.
Aye.
Alderman Reisenberg.
Aye.
Alderman Palmer.
Aye.
Alderman Adelman.
Aye.
8 yea, 0 nay. Both motions carry.
Thank you very much, Biddy and Megan. On behalf of the council, thank you for all your wonderful work, you and everyone that contributed to the plan. It's a great framework And I think, as the gentleman who came earlier at Committee of the Whole mentioned, it really allows us to begin to be a thought leader and an execution leader in the idea of a great bicycle master plan. So thank you for all your great effort. Next item on the agenda, consideration of an ordinance amending Section 2-65 of the City Code, as presented by Vic Filippini.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. You may recall when we were discussing the liquor code amendments at the last meeting, one of the questions that came up was whether or not aldermen could serve on boards of directors, for example, on clubs that may hold liquor licenses. In order to address that, there was a second part of the council did provide for that in the ordinance, and there's a second part of that, and this is what's before you tonight. Due to some changes in the Illinois Municipal Code, in order for conservators of the peace, of which all of you are, to have the power of arrest, there is a requirement under the Illinois Municipal Code to be trained properly for that exercise of power. That is not reflected either in our special charter or in our code. The amendment tonight is to effect that change so that we are consistent with state law. And by doing so, it will also make clear that we don't have any inhibition as far as members of the council who choose to serve on boards of directors of any liquor licensees. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
I have a question as to, for someone who is trained and gets this power to arrest, it says they have the power to detain. What kind of force can be used to detain?
If you take the training, you'll find out.
Okay, don't spoil the surprise.
Just don't get hurt.
Vic, I have a question. These two things are mutually exclusive?
You cannot be a peace officer with the power to arrest and serve on the board of directors of a liquor licensee, correct?
Okay, so it's not mutually exclusive. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Vic?
Do we have to turn our badges in?
You can keep your badges.
Good.
Can we get badges?
What powers do we have as a conservator of the peace if we don't go through the training?
I believe it is more ceremonial at this point than actual.
Any thought of grandfathering this in? Just a thought.
I would suspect that you may very well want to use 911 if you have any reason for conserving the peace.
I'll take that as a no.
Assuming we don't want to have further discussion about detaining, I'd look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
A second?
Second?
Or roll call vote, Biddy?
Alderman Novit,
Aye.
Alderman Waldeck.
Aye.
Alderman Moore,
Aye.
Alderman Pandaleon,
Aye.
Alderman Tack,
Aye.
Alderman Reisenberg,
Aye.
Alderman Palmer,
Aye.
Alderman Adelman.
Aye.
8 yea, 0 nay, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda this evening is new business to come before the council. Any other additional new business?
I have a question. Can we give an update on my situation? Would that be inappropriate?
If you wish to give an update, that'd be fine, or I could certainly give an introduction if you have anything further to say.
If you wouldn't mind covering it so the right things are said. So.
Last week, you may recall that a resident had sued the city and Alderman Moore personally for some comments he made regarding some pending litigation back in February. We have had a series of lawsuits filed in connection with the property at 27 West on Wensia. In response to Alderman Moore's comments that he made from the dais, the neighbor who has been promulgating all these lawsuits actually sued the city for defamation and raised a number of other claims along the way. The case was dismissed with prejudice last week, following what has been well-established law both in the state of Illinois and at the federal level for decades. And the case, absent any kind of appeal or post-judgment motion, is now concluded.
You want to go into detail about the law and what the rights the aldermen have?
The reason why the case was dismissed is that while you are sitting on the dais in your legislative capacity, you have absolute immunity in terms of the things that you say. That immunity does not hold true if you repeat the same things on the street outside of the council chambers, but while you are involved in this process, you have absolute immunity. That is what the courts have held for decades. Actually, you can actually go back to the Federalist Papers. You will find some reference to that, and English common law, and that is what was the basis on which the court dismissed the case last week.
Have sanctions been sought?
That's something still to be determined.
Alderman, we've talked about bringing that to the legal committee for their consideration.
Very well.
Comment or?
So can I take a hit on my neighbor right now?
I would like to say that we're covered by, is it Irma?
Yes.
And they did a fabulous job, and Vic was covering the city stuff, and Irma took care of me, and I had, it's for all of our own edification, I was not only covered by Irma, but the extent of the lawsuit, which exceeded the limits for Irma, led me to research that I was not only covered by my homeowner's policy, but also by the city. So,
Yes, the city does have for its elected officials, elected and appointed officials, an indemnity provision for anything happening in the course of their official duties.
It's tough being a conservator of the peace.
Yes, it is.
Moving on, any additional items? Yeah. Any additional items for council discussion? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.